You said in the beginning of the press conference that you are frustrated. Are you frustrated that Austin Energy didn't prepare?
No, my frustration was that we haven't taken the time to answer questions of the community in a way that I thought was the way to do that. And so I've pushed, and that's why we had the press conference here this morning, and we'll have one later today, and we'll get into a habit of being able to answer questions from the community in that way, as opposed to just pushing out press releases and things of that nature. My other frustration, of course, is the one that we all feel being without power and facing what we're facing with this storm. My home was without power for all day yesterday until late in the night, so I share that frustration as well.
Right. So are you saying that you are pleased with the way Austin Energy prepared for this storm?
What I'm pleased with is the amount of effort that's going in to meet the problem. The storm has lasted longer, and it has created more damage than what was originally anticipated, just based upon the changes in weather. And so that means that we've had situations throughout the service area where we'll have one area that we cleared up and you'll get service back on there, but because of the accumulation of ice on lines and in trees that are over lines, then you end up with places going down that were not down before. And so you feel, as the director or the general manager of Austin Energy said, you feel like many times you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. But there's been a real effort by the folks that are out there doing this right now. Been out there for 24 hours plus all night long in what are just brutal conditions to try to restore power.
And Mayor, I'm going to ask you a quick question too. Are there any evident shortcomings or shortfalls at the moment with the response?
Well, from the response standpoint, one of the things is that we're having more and more of these types of cold weather incidents. Now, this is different than Uri, and it's been pointed out over and over again it's different than Uri, and we need to remember that. Although we cannot forget that a lot of us, I guess pretty much all of us that are without power now, remember the trauma, and we feel that trauma from just a few years ago. But prevention-wise, there are a couple of things. One is we're going to need to look at how it is we deal with our tree canopy, so that while we want to preserve that tree canopy, we also know that if we don't take certain actions, we're going to have situations like this. And it's very important to also understand that when you have the wires that we think of as electrical wires, you also have communications equipment on those wires. That's how for example, yesterday at my home, we weren't able to get cell service. We weren't able to text or get email, that sort of thing. Well, what happens is that adds weight. And so many times that will cause situations where you'll see a sagging or you'll see a dropping of those wires. So some preventative measures probably need to go into place, and key among those is going to be how do we deal with our vegetation.
Mayor Watson, one of the first questions that Jackie Sargent was asked was about burying the power lines, and if that's something that Austin needs to consider doing. We talked with council members Ellis and Quadri earlier this morning on KXAN News Today, and both of them said we do need to have a serious discussion about that. Jackie Sargent said it's very expensive to do it retroactively. Where do you stand on that? Do you feel like Austin needs to seriously consider that?
Well, go back to what I was just saying a minute ago about what we learn from things like this and how we might do things that are preventative. But that discussion, as we have new developments and new places come on, the ability to place lines below ground ought to be seriously looked at. But what she was talking about is retrofitting becomes a very, very expensive thing, and it doesn't necessarily solve all of your problems. So it's not as simple as saying, well, we've had these above lines, so now what we got to do is just dig trenches. You're going to be going through people's yards, you're going to be going through right-of-way, you're going to be in alleyways, and so you have to do that on balance. But it is something we ought to look at to see if there's a way on balance we can get benefit from that. But we can't just jump to that conclusion. It's going to need to be a thoughtful discussion.
Mayor, I appreciate you, by the way, taking the time to talk to us truly. There are a lot of people watching right now and they need answers. I just need to ask you, why didn't we learn this lesson with the first freeze? Why wasn't somebody coming forward with all the money that we spent on studies and vegetation to say, you know what, if we have another significant ice storm and all the beautiful trees that we have here in Austin, something catastrophic could happen?
Well, first of all, I know that we keep conflating Uri with what's happened today. Those were completely different. We lacked power for completely different reasons.
Right, but I'm talking about the
instances.
ice. I'm talking about the ice. The ice was something that we experienced back then. The ice is something we're experiencing now. I'm just wondering why we are one of the only cities in the state that has to go for power for so long whenever it gets cold and icy outside.
We're not, by the way, we're not the only city. I mean, I've been on a phone with a mayor today of another major city that is also down. But here's the thing. You're absolutely right that there are things that we should learn from this. And if we don't learn from it and we don't do additional things to try to prevent, like we've been talking about this morning, then shame on us. And I think you'll see that sort of effort. But here's the thing. You're never going to be able to make sure that nothing like this happens in absolutely. When you have cold weather situations and you live in a city that has above ground wires, and you have some of the neighborhoods where that settles over them, and you get the kind of ice that you're going to get accumulating over a long period of time, you're going to have situations where you have power out, whether it's in Austin or any other city. But you are absolutely correct that we would be making a mistake if we don't look at this, know that we're going to have more frequent storms like this, more frequent disaster type situations where we have lots of bad weather, and then try to learn from those. And one of the things that I commit is that we will take that time. You know, it's one of those things that we ought to take the time. We ought to do the balancing that we've talked about on different ways that we might approach it, and see if we can't come up with ways that mitigate this as we go in the future.
Mayor Watson, right now we have 153,000 plus some without power. It's about 28% of the city. We were initially told that the power would be restored in 12 to 24 hours. That didn't happen. Now we're being told it's going to happen by tomorrow evening. I want to ask you, how confident are you that that is in fact when everyone will have the lights back on?
Well, I'm pretty confident about it. I'm not going to make any absolutes because of what you just said. We have to rely upon the experts. We all have to rely on the experts who tell us what to expect. What I'm told now is that the Weather Service predictions ended up lasting longer. They were off. We ended up having things last longer, and the precipitation has lasted longer. But I believe that we're in a situation where by Friday afternoon we ought to be in a situation where pretty much everybody's power is restored. That is a prediction. That is one that we are pushing, and I am pushing the professional staff to achieve. And we've got people out there that are working like crazy in brutal conditions to restore that power.
And Mayor, and for our viewers, this is KXAN's Brianna Hollis. I was here at the press conference today. I asked Austin Energy about the whole process of asking for mutual aid, and they had said that it wasn't until they really realized how bad it was where they called for it. Do you think it should have been called for sooner?
You know, and I have not had a chance to actually, I need to look at that before I give an opinion on that. Mutual aid, there are mutual aid agreements, so that people will know that may not seen the press conference. We have mutual aid agreements with a number of publicly owned utilities so that we will help each other in circumstances like this, even if you don't have a disaster declaration from the governor for the state. Those mutual aid agreements were instituted. In other words, the city of Austin through Austin Energy said we want to have others help us in this situation. The question of whether that happens soon enough is a legitimate question. And again, when we get through this, I think those are the kinds of questions we need to be asking to make sure we're ahead of the game if this were to happen the next time.
Mayor Watson, I appreciate, is Bree asking another question? I don't think so. Okay, Mayor Watson, I'm sorry. I appreciate you taking the time talking to us. I really do. And just so you know, when you do need to get out there and give any kind of message, we're always extending the invitation to you. We would love to hear more from you, and I'm sure that we will. Thank you so much. And I just want to let our viewers know at home.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet. I want to let our viewers know the frustration lies with being a taxpayer, not those crews who are out there who are helping to restore power to somebody else's home, and it may be the power in their own home is out. You have hardworking crews out there, so I appreciate them.
All right, Mayor Watson, thank you so much for joining us. We want to thank our viewers who've been with us.